Today we have a very important video for all those people that regularly suffer from bad emotions. Pretty much all people have one thing in common when there are bad emotions or feelings. They want them to go away. And for a time this strategy might even work. But the stronger the negative emotions are, the more the limitations of that approach surface. It sometimes seems like the simple wanting of the bad thing to stay away only makes it stronger. And it is true. That is exactly what happens, and here is why. I have prepared some illustration that explains the process very well. As you can see here, we have the process of, realizing or recognizing a visual object. We see a tree somewhere with our eye, and then we create a mental model of something. To the left we have some tree as it occurs in nature, and to the right you see that the tree is somewhat different. It is not the same when it is stored in the mind as an experience. It gets associated with all kinds of things. For example, this tree might be small, it might be an oak tree, it might be part of a forest or remind you of forests, and it might be boring. And all those things have associated valuations. Those are mental reactions, how our brain treats stuff. Whenever we perceive something we dislike, like small things in this example, we have negative emotions. Those negative emotions are indicated by the red circles, and the positive emotions are indicated by the green circles. And the object in the middle is more or less the average of the associated valuations. But that is not all. That is just how the basic process works. Let us now have a closer look at what our brain actually does. Our brain is more or less a neural network, and in the middle we can see how artificial neural networks look like. To the left we have some input. In this case, those inputs are visual images of something we might like or dislike, in this case a tree. In the middle we have the neural network itself, and to the right we have some output that either recognizes the image or something else. There can be all kind of computation going on. And the more often we perceive such an object as is a tree, the more the structure of this neural network in the middle changes. Some of the edges get thicker, the more often they get used, and some of the other edges get thinner, the less often they get used. The neuronal connections, they vanish on their own over time when they do not get used. We simply forget things, but those things that occur often form a mental impression. And the more often we do it, the more clearly we associate the visual stimulus on the left with the output or the mapping in our mind on the right. And the mapping gets stronger and stronger over time. And after a time, after perceiving countless objects of the same kind, we have a very, very deeply ingrained structure in our brain. And now something interesting happens. Whenever we perceive an object on the left, we do not see the object anymore. What we see is the neural structure in the middle. We only see a concept of the tree on the left, and the part on the right gets triggered. We do not see the object anymore, we just see concepts. We do not look there anymore. It is just, just a mental impression we perceive from that way on. And we can illustrate the progress even further. It is not only that we do not see the tree anymore. Whenever we think about it, we can also trigger this part of the brain, and all the associated emotions, for example, with this tree also get triggered. A thought alone uses very similar neuronal pathways, and thus the simple thinking about something also triggers the negative emotions if there are any associated with it. When we start thinking about a small tree and do not like small trees, we have a problem. And we can map the very same thing to anything else. For example, to political opponents, or people we do not like, or pink elephants. The pink elephant thing is very popular. Try not thinking about a pink elephant. Well, you can't. It is simply part of the thinking process. And I illustrated it in this figure. Try not thinking about a tree. It is impossible. Whenever I say, try to not think about a tree, you have to also think about the tree and then wish it away. We cannot unthink something. Whenever we think about something, it is always also there. And this is absolutely crucial. Whenever we think about something negative or positive, no matter if we like it or dislike it, all the things that we previously conditioned ourselves to feel also get triggered. When we try not to think about a tree, all the other things on the right also get triggered. It is still a small tree we think about, and it is still boring, and so we get a surge of negative emotions. And whenever we have any negative emotions in real life and wish them to go away, then we automatically recall them into our mind, and all the negative associated stuff also gets triggered. There is no way around it. Whenever you try to think the pink elephant away, it only gets stronger. And whenever you try to think or wish the negative emotions to go away, they also get stronger. The right choice is to not make the emotions stronger by either wanting them or not wanting them. You want to simply let them die off by not renewing the thinking about it. The moment you become mindful of such a thing, of such a process, you can actually interrupt it by simply not fueling it. But wanting and not wanting it simply fuel the process. There's no way around it. It is very simple, and yet everyone wants to have as little negative emotions as possible and only makes them stronger in the process. Okay, but let us now come to the most important point. The things we repeatedly perceive with our senses introduce physical changes to our brain, and artificial neural networks and real neural networks do not differ too much. And whenever something similar is seen or even thought about, the same emotional reactions get triggered. The brain does not distinguish between wanting and not wanting. Whenever we think about something, the emotions just get triggered. The brain is very primitive when it comes to that. And as soon as a familiar element is recognized in the input data, the programmed emotions simply occur. If you really want or decided to remove negative emotions from your head, you have to stop the thought machine that repeats associated thoughts over and over. And the best way I know of to do that is to simply meditate, meditate, and meditate even more. That way you can actually cultivate the mindfulness that is necessary to stop this entire thought process and attain happiness once and for all. Okay, and that is pretty much it for today. Thank you very much for watching. If you liked the video or want me to produce more of this style of content, feel free to leave it a like, so I know what you actually want. And if you feel like I missed something, also let me know in the comment section so that I and other people can benefit from your wisdom. But until then, I wish you a pleasant day and goodbye.